Hello guys, Belle here. This is actually the second time I am doing this Protection Paladin video for Legion Alpha because the first time I had my microphone muted the entire 15-minute video. Oopsie, accident. This is what happens when you're multitasking, trying to get the remainder of these videos done before they shut down Alpha to convert it over to Beta. Feel free to laugh, guys. It's funny. It's so awful. First thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about your guys' artifact weapon, let you have a look at what it is. You have the Oath Seeker. Your shield is also going to be your True Guard. Pretty legit little shield, pretty awesome weapon. Keep in mind, this is also your new little stat window. They have condensed that for your awesomeness, so gaze upon that. Now, before we get into the talents, I wanted to talk about the Divine Steed. So the Divine Steed is something that you have to choose between in a talent tree when it comes to Ret and Holy. They gave it to you guys get to keep it. This summons a Holy Mount to ride for 3 seconds, increasing movement speed by 100%, usable while indoors and while in combat. Now, my question here is, guys, from a tanking perspective, because it's usable in combat, is this a quick getaway for you to drop aggro? Do you know if that would be its intention, which would be why they would give it to the tanks and force the other two specs to choose between on the talents? I'm looking for you guys to give me that information because I do also want to improve my knowledge of tanking, even though I don't tank and have never intention on tanking. But I was just curious. I thought that was interesting that they gave it to Pallies versus the other two specs you have to choose between. So let's get right into what we have. Here's a list of your talents. Here's all the things that you guys have. You guys will know more than anybody what was changed or taken out. I don't tank at all, so I don't even know. I've never even seen any of these talents outside of doing the video previously, like a good girl, or all your specs, I mean. Yeah, guys, that just is what it is. So let's talk about your core abilities here and what's going to be your defensives and your offensives. So prop pellies, we're looking at for your defensives, the Shield of the Righteous, Light of the Protector, your Redoubt, and your Mastery, of course, is going to be the Divine Bulwark. Your offensives here are going to be your Avenger Shield, your Hammer of the Righteous, your Grand Crusader, Judgment, and Consecration. A really cool protection-specific talent is going to be the Blessed Hammer. We'll talk about that when we get into the rest of this stuff. So here's your guys' spells in case you guys wanted to have a look at them. I did drop them all on the bar. Even though I don't tank, I am going to go through give you the animations just so you guys can decide what's new or changed. So let's get right into your talent, shall we? We have the first Avenger. This is a passive ability. Increases the damage of Avenger's shield by 50% and increases the chance of its remaining cooldown to be reset by abilities and talents by 50%. But now it only hits one target versus several. Your Hand of Protector. This is an instant ability. It's on a 14-second cooldown. Calls down the light to heal a friendly target for 39% of the target's missing health. You also have Consecrated Hammer. This is a passive ability. Hammer of the Righteous has no cooldown and also gains damage bonus of Consecration. I'm really distracted by the Chaos Bolts because you guys know I'm Destruction, so that's good for me. Your next set, you have the Holy Shield. This is a passive ability. It increases your block chance by 10%, allows you to block spells in. Your successful blocks deal an additional set of holy damage to your attacker. I did choose to take this as a passive just because in my line of thinking as a tank, whatever helps block more damage so that I can mitigate easier and be able to focus on mechanics and less on being alive is good for me. Your Knight Templar, this is passive. This reduces the cooldown of your Divine Steed by 50% and reduces all damage taken while you're mounted. Here's the thing about this. So the thing about this is you also have your Divine Steed's on a 45-second cooldown, so this is reducing it more than half, which is pretty awesome. Probably pretty useful if you find the Divine Steed useful. I want you guys to comment on the video and please let me know. Tell me what you guys think about the use of the Divine Steed. You also have your Last Defender in this. This is a passive ability. Each enemy within 8 yards reduces the damage that you take by 3%. This effect does have diminishing returns. Your next set here is you do have Fist of Justice. Your Fist of Justice, which is not new. I don't think it's new. This is a passive ability. Judgment reduces the remaining cooldown of Hammer of Justice by 10%. You also have Repentance. This is on a 15-second cooldown. Has a small, 1.6-second cast time. Forces an enemy target to meditate and incapacitate the target, dealing up to a maximum of 25% of the target's health in damage over 1 minute. Now, this is usable against demons, dragonkin, giants, humanoids, and the undead. We're not new here, guys. Blinding Light, here it is in all its glory. Its instance on a 1.5 minute cooldown emits a dazzling light in the direction of the enemies, blinding them. This is in within 10 yards. It does deal a nice amount of damage. Also is a disorient for 6 seconds. This, my assumption is, I'm thinking that this is going to be very useful in a PvP scenario. However, if you are a prot pally in PvP, you are a dick. If you watched my Blood Death Knight video, I told you already, if you are a prot paladin and you are in a PvP situation, if you are in arena as a prot pally, you're a dick. If you are maybe on RBGs on flag carrying maps, it's cool to be prot pally. Other than that, if you're a prot paladin in PvP, you are a dick. Those of you that get offended, you guys don't need to be offended. I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm not really kidding. I'm dead serious. You are a dick. But I'm joking. The other set you do have here is you do have the Blessing of Spell Warding. This is an instant ability. It is on a 3-minute cooldown. This does place a blessing on the party or raid member, protecting them from all magical attacks for 10 seconds. Cannot be used on a target with forbearance. Causes forbearance for 30 seconds. Now, I do think that this will be really useful for a couple boss fights if you're in a raid and it's super heavy in magic damage. Blessing of Salvation. This is an instant ability. It's on a 1-minute cooldown. Places a blessing on the party or raid, temporarily removing all threat from the target and causing an additional threat generated to be transferred to you, which is cool because it's basically an instant aggro. And then you also have your Retribution Aura. This is passive. You deal 1k holy damage to any enemy whose melee attack strikes a non-tank party or raid member within 60 yards. So that's pretty cool. Then you have your Bastion of Light. This is a 3-minute cooldown. It is an instant ability. Immediately grants 3 charges of the Shield of Righteousness. The Crusader's Judgment. Judgment can also trigger Grand Crusader. And then you have the Blessed Hammer, which is an instant ability. It's on a really small, super teeny tiny cooldown. So yeah, that's a little small cooldown. It's just a 1.4 seconds and throws the Blessed Hammer that spirals outward, dealing 20k holy damage to the enemies that it hits and causes them to deal 15% less damage to you on their next auto attack. Your next site here, you have the Aegis of Light. This is a channeled. It's on a 5-minute cooldown. This basically channels the light that protects you and all allies standing within 10 yards behind you for 6 seconds, reducing all damage taken by 20%. I'm not a tank here, but correct me if I'm wrong. This would be really great for your melee damage dealers who are literally right on the boss's ass. That would be my assumption. Correct me if I'm wrong, tanks. But since I don't tank, I'm going to look to you to tell me if I'm accurate in that assessment. The Judgment of Light. This is a passive ability. Now applies Judgment of Light to the target, causing the next 40 successful attacks against the target to heal the attacker for 4k. This effect can only occur once per second on each target, and then you also have your Consecrated Ground in that same set. You have your passive. It allows up to 6 allies standing within your consecration receiving 2k healing every 0.9 seconds, and enemies within your consecration have 50% reduced movement speed. Now for your final one here, we have the Righteous Protector. Shield of the Righteous Protector, Shield of the Righteous reduces the remaining cooldown of the Light of Protector by 3 seconds. So where the Light of the Protector is on a 14-second cooldown, with this using the Righteous Protector, it's going to take it down to an 11-second cooldown. Your Seraphim is going to be your instant ability. It's on a 30-second cooldown. The light temporarily magnifies your power, increasing your haste, critical strike, mastery, and versatility by almost 5,000. Consumes up to 2 charges of your Shield of the Righteous and lasts 8 seconds per charge. So that's a total of 16 seconds where you get to have this ability, and then it's on cooldown for 30. So in another 15 after its full 2-round charge, you can use it again. You also have Final Stand, which is your passive, reduces the cooldown of Divine Shield by 50%. When you use Divine Shield, you also taunt all targets within 15 yards for 8 seconds. Wanted to talk about this last ability. I don't tank, but I wanted to have a little bit of a banter with you guys that watch these videos and that do tank. Tell me when you would use this. My concern would be if you're swapping aggro with a tank, right? Let's say you have a big boss and you guys have to swap stacks for whatever the mechanic is. If you use this, then you're going to take aggro inadvertently. Let's say ads pop out and you're using this as a means to gather the ads all with one button, right? Because that's pretty great. It's automatically going to taunt all targets within this 15 yards. If you're standing next to the tank, or if you click this button before you're ready for it, you could take aggro from the tank on whatever they have, and that could go bad, especially when certain boss fights require a certain amount of stacks before swapping. So what I would like to know is, I would like to know what type of scenarios would you use this in? Obviously, this would be useful in moments when you have to gather several adds. If a certain mechanic or time within a fight, all these adds drop out and you have your second tank who's not the boss tank, but he's going to grab the adds, I'm thinking this would be the perfect moment for that. Now, obviously, I have a little bit more knowledge of tanking than actual tanking. I understand it because I do... I have raided with my guild. So, and obviously Secret, who's on the show, he is an expert tanker, well, tanker and raider. So I would like to have a little bit of a banter regarding this last set and when you would choose which for each scenario. It's interesting to me. I want to learn from a little bit of a tank perspective. So those of you that main these, if you could kindly help me out with that. Let's go over here and let's see what we've got going on with our spells. Here's going to be your artifact weapon, and then your avenging wrath. I'm basically going to go through all of these to show you. I already showed you your divine steed. I wanted to show you all the... Let's kind of get right up in here then, shall we? There's your avenger shield, hammer of the righteous. Here's your shield of the righteous, light protector, consecration, ardent defender. Obviously, your flash of light for your self-heals. And then there is, of course, your Guardian of the Ancient Kings and your Hammer of Justice. So that's going to be what your animations look like in regards to tanking. If you're new to PWNCAST, make sure you give the channel a subscribe. I will be doing all the class videos for the Spell and Talents in Legion up to date. As of May, will be completed by the end of the day today, and it's May 10th. So I think I have Hunter and Warrior left. And then once I do that, we're going to be looking at the artifact weapon for each spec. We're going to be doing a breakdown as also what utility you're going to be able to leverage for those weapons. And then I'll also be doing each spec in its own PvP talent breakdown as well. So make sure you like the video. Tanks, give me a comment. Tell me what you think. I don't tank, so it's good to always get your guys' perspective. Let me know how you're feeling about stuff. If you hate it, just remember, guys, it's alpha. It's going into beta in 2 days. It's going to be fine. I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching.